Hey everybody, it's Larry Fleischman, your Southern California real estate broker, and today I want to talk to you about how to sell your house without an agent, all by yourself. Let me take you back a few months, back to a time I walked into a little beige house in Orange County. A sweet couple had decided they wanted to sell their home of 37 years. They were proud, cautious, and convinced they could do it on their own. Larry, we love you, but we're going to sell for sale by owner. Well, this video is for them and for you. If you're thinking about selling your home without an agent. But first, don't forget to like and subscribe. I post new content every week that breaks down the real estate process. It helps you make smarter decisions and avoid costly mistakes. You really don't want to miss any of it. Okay, so let's talk about how you were going to sell your house without an agent. Now, obviously, I'm an agent, and of course, I think you need an agent, but I'm literally and actually and honestly going to tell you how to do it today. So first off, let's talk about why people sell their house by owner. Well, most of the time, the reason people choose to sell by owner, it's simple. It's money. They want to keep more of their equity. And I get it. I really do. But let me tell you a story. That same couple from earlier, they put a sign in the yard. They got 23 calls in the first 3 days. Now, most were agents fishing for listings. A few were curious neighbors. One was serious, or so they thought. 4 weeks later, no offer. Stress level? High. Energy level? Low. Here's the thing. Money matters, but so does time, stress, and avoiding the trap of false savings. It can cost a lot of money to sell with an agent, and to pay for a buyer's agent well, it does cost quite a bit of money. So many people think that they can just do it themselves and keep the money to themselves. Well, let me be real with you. Selling a house isn't rocket science, but it's more complicated than most people think. As I said, I've learned something new in every single deal I do, every single deal I've been a part of. That's experience that you can't YouTube your way into overnight. So if you're going to go this alone, here's what you need to know and do. The first thing to do, and let me tell you, this is a non-negotiable. Get professional photos. Imagine this. You're on Zillow. 2 listings pop up. One has dark, blurry cell phone photos, and the other wide angle, bright, clean, professional images. Which home gets your attention? Don't ask your cousin who shot your wedding. Hire a real estate photographer. Pay the $150 to $300. It's worth it. This is your digital curb appeal, so have a professional take those pictures. Okay, on to step 2. You have to know the correct price. I know what you're going to say.
Larry, we want to put a high price on it. I think I can get it myself.
Look, recently I met a man who proudly priced his house $100,000 over market. Now, he said, you never know, someone might bite. Well, nobody did. After 4 months and multiple price drops, buyers thought something was wrong. Look, you've got to do your research. Look at sold homes, not just what's listed. Better yet, talk to a few agents and get some free market opinions. You can reach out to me or my team, and we'll be happy to share what's happening price-wise in your neighborhood. And as I said, we are full-time professionals, and we know what's going on in your hyper-local market. You don't have to hire us, but leverage us or another professional for their insight. Hey, if you don't have the right price, you're not going to get people to look at your house. So if you're just taking a shot in the dark, great, go for it. But you've got to make sure you price your home correctly. Do the research. Check homes that are on the market in your area, as well as those that have already sold. Okay, on to the next step. You've got to stage your home. Now, you don't need to rent a truckload of designer furniture or hire a professional stager, but you need a clean, neutral, bright space. You got to remove your family photos. You got to open the blinds, add fresh towels, flowers, or a pop of color. And if you're not sure, well, then maybe you should hire a stager. You have to think, would I want to buy this house? It's got to be show ready. You have to do everything that you normally would if you were going to put your house on the market with an agent. but you don't have any guidance from your real estate professional, you have to make sure your house looks great. The other thing you need to do is you have to make sure you write a good description. One FSBO for sale by owner listing that I saw said 4-bed, 2.5 bath, nice. That's not a description, that's a sentence fragment. Instead, bring your home to life. Think about what attracts you. Hey, how about this sun-drenched single-story gem features a remodeled kitchen, open floor plan, and serene backyard, perfect for summer barbecues. Look, you need to paint a picture. You want people to feel your house. And you should look at your tax records as well. Because as you get offers, people are going to start to make sure you know what your square footage is. And your square footage, it's in the tax records. And you really need to know what taxes are when you list your house. Make sure you're fully aware of the details of your house. Okay, we've talked about how to get your house ready. Now, the question is, how are you going to promote the house? That couple that I mentioned earlier, after a month of just a sign, they had almost no traction. You've got to push it out on Zillow, Facebook, Instagram, everywhere. But beware, you're going to get a lot of calls from curious looky-loos, tire kickers, and yes, agents who say they have a buyer, but they're really just trying to get your listing. No, not all of them, but enough to waste your time. Let me tell you that not marketing your house correctly could cost you thousands, maybe tens of thousands of dollars. I've seen it happen. If you do this wrong, it will cost you money. And wasn't that the whole point of listing for sale by owner? So that you get more money? The way that I recommend selling by owner is first, you have to put the sign in your yard. A sign in your yard is essentially free marketing, and your goal is to get the most amount of money, but it's also to have the least amount of stress. Even though you might not have said it or thought about it, I'm telling you, put a sign in the yard and see how many people call. Who knows? You might even find someone who's willing to overpay. Now, you've got to tell your friends and family about it. But there's a paradox. Most for sale by owners still end up paying a buyer's agent. So now you're doing double the work for half the savings. Typically, people who are selling by owner are still paying out to a buyer's agent if that agent brings an offer. And that's something to remember. Agents work hard for their clients to protect them and get them the best deals. And if they bring you an offer for their clients, they're very likely going to ask for some compensation. And if you do pay a buyer's agent, be clear on terms and understand you're now unrepresented while the buyer has a pro in their corner. Remember, knowledge is leverage, and without that, you may leave more money on the table than you realize. You're going to hear from people who'll say, hey, I'm interested, but I have an agent, and then you're going to get a call from the agent asking if you're willing to pay compensation. And I would say that you are likely going to say yes, because you've heard that's the way you can make more money. But look, as I said, now you're at a disadvantage because the buyers are going to be represented and you're not. This is important. You're watching this video because you want to sell by owner and you want to make as much money as possible. And by compensating a buyer's agent, well, you're not making as much money as possible. But the reality is, most buyers are working with agents and they'll expect to be paid. So you need to decide what you're doing if you choose not to compensate a buyer's agent. You don't have to compensate a buyer's agent, don't get me wrong, but then you're risking not having a qualified buyer who's been pre-approved, someone that's actually looking to buy. So what I'm saying is, don't underestimate the power of an agent who has a client that's ready to go. I'm sure you're going to want to think about how much you're actually saving if you agree to compensate a buyer's agent. Now, since you've posted on social media, there's going to be people reaching out, and you're going to hear from a bunch of them who are tire kickers, like I said, or someone looking for a steal. And I promise you, they're going to tell you, hey, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to buy. And they'll show up having not been pre-approved, and they'll say, by the way, I need to sell my house in order to buy your house. So now you're showing your house to multiple people who are not approved and may not even be able to qualify. One benefit of having an agent work with a buyer is that the agent isn't going to waste their time. So they're going to make sure that their buyer's pre-approved. Now, I don't think you want someone that says, hey, I may be able to save the commission, and then they hold you up waiting for info. And you go back and forth with them because you think you're going to save that money. And then they're either not real buyers or they can't get their mortgage. Or maybe they just change their minds. Hey, in my opinion, that's why it's important to work with someone who has an agent. But there's that paradox again, because you're most likely going to pay out compensation to that agent. Now, another thing you can do is you can put your listing on Zillow. Now, of course, you're going to make sure you have those professional pictures, and you're going to make sure that you fill out everything in the Zillow ad. And of course, you're going to have that incredible description. And what's going to happen is that 1,000 real estate agents are going to call you who want to list your house. Now, I don't know if this is really a big secret, but agents are going to call and they're going to tell you that they've got a buyer. They're going to ask to make an appointment to come see your house, and then they'll ask if you're going to cooperate with a buyer's agent. So, hey, Mr. Seller, if I bring a buyer in, will you compensate me? And then they just show up at your house, you let them in, and they try to get you to list your house with them. And they don't actually have a buyer. I know, I hate to even say this out loud because it's just not a cool way for agents to do business. But I'm just trying to help you. If you're putting your listing on Zillow and an agent calls and tells you you have a buyer, please be sure to vet them out before you let them come to your house. I'm not saying that the agents are bad, they're just doing their job. With that being said, Zillow is the way that I really recommend pushing your listing out to people.
Hey Larry, what about putting it in the MLS with a discount brokerage where I only have to pay a flat fee?
Maybe it's $250, maybe it's $500, but you're still doing all the negotiating. So yeah, you can put your home into the MLS and still do all the work. It's still really a for sale by owner. The listing agents are going to call you direct when they want to sell the house. So it is a for sale by owner, but you're not actually being represented by the people who took your listing. Now, I don't recommend doing this, and I'm going to tell you why it's important. It can cost you, and you can't make up for this mistake. If you put a sign in your yard and you don't sell it, you're fine. If you post it on social media and you don't sell it, you're fine. But if you put it in the MLS and you don't sell your house, it's a problem. And the reason it's a problem is because you've lost the excitement and that energy that comes with a listing. If you've done it wrong, or if you list with the wrong price, or if your pictures are not good, or if your copy isn't good, if it's marketed the right way, then you've lost the hype or excitement. When you do this, agents see this, and they know they're going to do things on both sides of the transaction. And they know it's difficult to work this way. All right, let's talk about showings. You're going to need to show your house on your schedule while working with strangers. And if you don't respond quickly, they move on. Hey, I've worked with sellers who missed a showing and they never heard back from the buyer again. Accessibility matters. As an agent, when I put a listing in the MLS, we let our clients know that they should leave the house for showings. A buyer needs to be represented by an agent to get into their house, and they need to clear out. As a FSBO seller, you'll need to be present for every showing. And because of this, you're going to limit showings based on you. And when people can't see your house, you can't sell your house. Recently, my clients love the neighborhood where there was a house for sale by owner. I called the seller to make an appointment, and let me tell you, it was a challenge. They had to work, or they were on a conference call, or they were out of town. Well, needless to say, my clients bought a different home. Look, I'm giving you the info you need to sell your house on your own, but I'm trying to be honest with you and share the truth here. There are many risks that go along with selling a house, but if you can stick a sign in the ground and you can sell it by yourself without all the stress, and you're not paying a buyer's agent, sure, could be worth it. But here's another thing where things get really tricky. I once had a FSBO seller who got 3 offers in one weekend. They were thrilled. Then they panicked. They didn't know what to do. Which offer was stronger? Which buyer was legit? One offer had a higher price but worse terms. Guess what? That higher offer had a shaky pre-approval and the buyers backed out during inspections. You just can't accept an offer. You've got to get to the closing table. And this is where many FSBOs fall apart. Negotiating repairs, appraisals, escrow delays, missing contract addendums. One mistake could cost you thousands or kill the deal. I once saw a FSBO lose a $20,000 deal over a leaky faucet. True story. All right, getting to closing. Can you do it? Sure, you can. I've seen it done, but only if you know what you're doing, have time to commit, are ready to be persistent and professional, and most of all, don't let the desire to save money actually cost you more in the end. And if you try and sell for sale by owner and it doesn't work out, hey, don't beat yourself up. But if you do, talk to an agent, be fair, be honest, and set clear expectations. Look, my goal with this video, it wasn't to scare you, it was to prepare you. If you want to sell your house by owner and just need a few pointers, reach out. My phone number is right here in the comments. Send me a text, set up a 15-minute call, and hey, if you made it this far, that tells me you're serious. So, if you're looking to buy or sell a home in Southern California, my team and I would love to help you. And hey, if you're watching from outside of my area and thinking,
Gee, Larry, I wish you could help me where I live.
got some good news. Even if you're not in my area, I've got your back. I have a trusted network of real estate professionals all across the country. People that I've worked with, trained with, and I personally know. These agents will share my commitment to putting the clients first and treating people like family. So if you need help buying or selling anywhere, just reach out. I'd be happy to connect you with someone who will care for you just like I would. Please do me a favor, like, subscribe, and leave me a comment below with your biggest for sale by owner question. Thanks again for watching. I'm Larry Fleischman, Southern California real estate broker and your real estate ally. And I'll see you in the next video. Stay classy, SoCal, and remember, for all things real estate, sell or buy, Larry's your guy.